All right, I am going to play a Fortress of Solitude. Fortress of Solitude counts as a snow-covered land. All your ice spells only cost 1 mana. Your go.
I'm just going to lay Jerry Seinfeld's apartment and say pass.
I'm going to cast Wolverine. He's a 3/3 double strike.
I'm going to tap Kramer, targeting your Wolverine. Kramer's ability is tap target creature says something racially insensitive.
In response to that, I'm going to pay 2 mana, and I'm going to flash in Oboe, the Clash of the Titans owl.
That resolves. I'm going to cast Blanche Devereaux of the Golden Girls.
I'm going to cast Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero's Ice Cube at Blanche to deal 5 damage to any target.
Okay. I'm going to tap a swamp and cast Vampiric Tutor.
Okay, at the end of your turn, I'm going to tap my 2 Hobbit holes and the Fortress of Solitude again. I'm going to cast a Wonder Woman's Lasso as an instant, which allows me to look at your hand. And you have to play with your dick out until the end of the turn.
I'm going to attempt to cast Dennis the Menace. When he comes into play, I get to take your deck and throw it against the wall.
I'm going to play Geralt of Rivia's Pirouette to counter that. And let's not forget summoning the Skyrim Dragonborn, modded with better equipment and the ability to summon a follower of Pain Slut from the Lover's Lab. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mad Magic yet again. I am your co-host, Mono, here with my good buddy, Jay Thalet. As always, have a good show for you today, talking about WotC's incessant use of IP, as well as a pick to buy and a pick to sell. Up there it goes. You notice anything? You like the duds? You like the duds, Salad? Yeah?
Yeah, it would have been okay before the first 17 reprints.
Dude, you wound me. So, all right, we'll talk about this in a minute, but Wizards of the Coast is going balls to the wall on basically breaking the fourth wall of their universe. And it's getting a little weird, I think. So let me get this out of the way a little bit. But before we do that, it was a big announcement. They were talking about a lot of these things. A couple of them are like insiders as to what's coming out. But today, real quick, instead of doing a top 5, this time we are doing a 1 to buy and 1 to sell. All right? So what do you like first, Salad, on the 1 to sell? Is that what we're doing? We going 1 to sell, or are we doing 1 to buy? Which one do you want to go with first?
Let's just go with the 1 to buy first. Let's start on a positive note. Okay.
Okay.
We've got a card called Phyrexian Devourer.
Mm-hmm.
Devourer is one of the 572 cards on the reserve list, printed in alliances. It's a very unique card, and it at first glance it doesn't sound like a lot. If it has a power, it's an artifact. If it has a power greater than 7, you bury it. Its ability is for 0 mana.
Right.
You remove the top card of your library from the game to put +X counters on it. And an X is equal to that card's casting cost. And this comes at a cost of 6 colorless mana. Now, the reason
why do you like this thing?
I really like this card because it works well in a few competitive commander decks, and it even goes into the casual realm a little bit. Namely, it has a really good combination with Survival of the Fittest. If you can get Survival of the Fittest into play with this card, and you are playing with the correct commander, like the Gitrog monster, it's an auto win. There's a really good combination with Phyrexian Devourer, Necrotic Ooze, and Walking Ballista. basically what you do is you get necrotic ooze, and as long as it's on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of any creatures in your graveyard. Right?
Right.
So you can, with between Walking Ballista, necrotic ooze, and Phyrexian Devourer, you have the ability of the Phyrexian Devourer to continue to flip cards over from your library and add these counters to the necrotic ooze. And with the ballista also in your graveyard, you can ping everyone for infinite damage at the table.
So how many cards is that? So 3 cards to make that happen?
Yeah, but you don't need all 3 cards in play. You just need the survival of the fittest, essentially.
Right. Right. Ooh, that's interesting. You know, I was we were showing some things from MTG stocks there a moment ago, and cards now about $12 or whatever. It was really high, you know, back in like this 2021, but I guess everything was really high back then, right? But this card's also, I think you said it was reserve list too, so they're not making any more of those.
Yeah, it seems like today the only thing that we can really target besides quick flips are reserve list cards if we're thinking about long-term financial gains.
Right. Right. Okay.
But
So
we're talking about what's the current price is $8 to $12, and we're talking about an all-time high of 40. And I have all the confidence in the world that it will at one point in time exceed that price again.
well, you know, next week's show, we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but and we wanted to kind of maybe give it another week to kind of see what's going on. But just earlier on one of our previous shows, we were talking about like it seems like an endless bear market, but now we're starting to see some signs that maybe the market's got a pulse again. So do you think cards like this are going to, you know, come along for the ride?
I do. I think some cards are going to come along for the ride more slowly. The pricier cards, like we're talking about the Moxes, the Lotuses, you know, the Power 9 stuff, the big stuff that's been out of print since Unlimited, the 4 Black Horsemen from the set Legends, stuff like that, like Eureka. Those kind of cards, Mishra's Workshop, those are going to see the bumps first. The reason is because they're insanely expensive for the average person. And who usually has a lot of money? Smart money. And smart money are going to be the people that jump in first. So those cards are probably going to see the quickest bounce off the bottom. And we're already seeing that.
Okay. But you do have one that you want to ditch. What do you think and this is an interesting one that you want everybody to sell, because this is an amazing card, but you say get rid of this one. Mindbreak Trap. Why?
Ditch this card. It's at an all-time high. The reason it's at an all-time high is because it was printed in Zendikar. And Zendikar, I believe George W. Bush was president the last time that this card was printed.
Right.
So this card is, I mean, it's been out of print for about 15 years. So a lot of its value is predicated on the fact of, you know, there just aren't that many game pieces available right now. We all know that Wizards of the Coast likes to target cards that on the secondary market have a lot of value, and they try to capture that secondary market value through secret layers. So I think within the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see this reprinted in a secret layer. And I don't see it going much higher than $65 because competitive Commander is primarily the tables that we're seeing this card played at.
You know, I got our MTGstocks.com up, as always, great site. And, you know, what was interesting about this card is that it didn't really enjoy much of a 2021 spike. Like, it's been going way up lately. You know, this year, it's really been climbing. And so I think, to your point, you know, it's never really ever been this high. And when you look at a card like this, like, you know, why would it go to $300? I mean, you know, it could, but then if it does, because like you said, it's not reserve list, right? So you think they're going to just reprint the hell out of this thing?
Yeah, I mean, you just think about like cards like the most valuable cards that are not on the reserve list, like Mana Crypt, etc. And they're just getting reprinted over and over and over again. Wizards is going to want to capture that secondary market equity, just like with every other card, and they're going to recognize it pretty quickly.
Okay, so there's your one to get and one to ditch. So our main story, I really want to get into this. Wizards, as you know, we've seen this, of course, you know, with Lord of the Rings and The Walking Dead, and we saw these secret layers here with Doctor Who as well.
Don't forget,
but all of a sudden, it seems now, and then there's a few more I think that you can tell us about. Like, you know, Lord of the Rings to me, like, made sense. Like, Lord of the Rings, you always get a pass on because it was the grandfather, you know, of all fantasy. It is fantasy. It's wizards. It's dragons. So it's like, okay, you know, let's do something like this. And I think more or less the Lord of the Rings set was well received. But now we're just starting to get weird shit. So what are some of the other ones that they're going to be, that you heard that they're going to be making?
Well, just to your point, Lord of the Rings is, like you said, fits so well with the lore. And in fact, nearly all fantasy lore, including Magic the Gathering, it was predicated on Lord of the Rings. I mean, we've even got in alpha Ironclaw orcs. Like, orcs didn't exist as a concept before Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings fits. And I can accept that. But when you start talking about dead video game franchises, you're talking about Assassin's Creed, Fallout, stuff like this, stuff that is past its prime. It's just getting ridiculous. And this week, the Marvel Comics collaboration was announced, and that just seems so out of place to me. Like, and I can't imagine a world where we're going to be sitting at a table of Modern, which is, you know, basically the sanctioned format baby of Wizards of the Coast. We're going to be sitting at a table, and my Spider-Man is going to be attacking your Wolverine, and you know,
or your Thundermaw Hellkite, right? Like, I mean, it's going to be going after, you know, normal Magic cards. So we have to now have Spider-Man and Jean Grey fit in, right, with the rest of our stuff. What are they going to give them? Are they going to be giving them the regular conventions, you know, and mechanics that all the other ones have? You know, is Jean Grey going to have hexproof? You know, and it just kind of gets to a point, especially sometimes, you know, you've heard them say, oh, it's confusing to players. It's this, it's that. Well, eventually you just got to say, you know, what fucking game are we playing? You know?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And then in the same year, we're going to have, by the way, the announcement, I don't know if we mentioned it, for the Marvel Comics universe to be integrated into Magic the Gathering is 2025. And
okay,
by that time, we don't even know if they're right now, like Lord of the Rings was a modern legal only set. Like, we could be seeing this stuff in standard. I can't imagine how much it cost to purchase the intellectual property of Marvel Comics. But we're going to be seeing that everywhere. And it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't fit in with any of the lore, and it's not fantasy lore. It like the traditional Magic fantasy lore. We're not talking about like Dungeons and Dragons, which, by the way, is also owned by Wizards of the Coast.
That again, that made more sense to me, right?
Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. But when we're talking about you know, Professor X using his psychic abilities against Jace the Mind Sculptor, things are getting a little fucking weird.
Have they said yet, is it going to be like a full expansion, or is it just going to be like 5 cards?
Oh no, we are talking, they're going balls to the wall. Like, shit's going, they're going ham. They're going
like there could be like a core set of Marvel.
There is going to be a core set and probably multiple core sets. And I'm talking about different, Marvel Comics universe is, I mean, as sure as almost everyone is aware, you've got such a vast universe. There's universes within the Marvel universe that aren't even connected. So
I can already see them jizzing in their pants over having their one of one over the Infinity Gauntlet. You know what I mean? You watch all of the mind gem and the space gem and the time gem. They're gonna like have all of those things, and then like if you get them all on the board, and they're just gonna think that they're so fucking clever that we're all just gonna love it. Have you heard like the word on the street? I mean, what are people saying about this?
The most people that are hardcore Magic fans are really disappointed, and people seem disenfranchised by the whole thing. I think it's more of a Hasbro strategy than a WotC strategy. To bring in players into the game.
Cynthia Williams strategy.
And they're doing it by using other intellectual properties when they're sitting on an intellectual property that they haven't exploited themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, Magic the Gathering, I mean, there's so much lore. You've got 30 years of lore, and it's a gold mine. And we still don't have any movies. We don't have any cartoons. We don't have any live action shows. And that's something that I think needs to happen. And I think if that happened, it would have the potential to make Magic multi-generational, and they wouldn't have to rely on paying out fees to Activision or whoever for whatever video game franchise that they decide to exploit next.
So Lionsgate just a couple of months ago or whatever bought E1 Entertainment, which used to be owned by Hasbro. That was a big like movie making division that they had, and Netflix was working on that animated show for Magic the Gathering, which I heard is now in turnaround, right? Like they're not working on this anymore. And I just find it odd that nobody has asked to make these movies. I mean, maybe they are. Like, I would really love to be a fly in the wall to know, is Hasbro being courted by Disney's and Pixar's and Universal Studios, like what have you, Warner, saying, let us make Netflix, right? Let us make an 8-part live action series of Magic the Gathering. And is Hasbro sending them packing? Like, yeah. Or is the lore so complicated that, they don't really understand how this works? But it just seems to be such a lack of imagination. Like, I don't know why anyone would think that. And so the only thing I can think of is that Hasbro must be asking for like $100 million buy-in or something to go make a show on them. And it's just, they're pricing themselves out of the market, because otherwise I just don't understand why it's not here.
I think what's happening is at the top of the ivory tower, we have people that are running Hasbro and by proxy running Wizards of the Coast, and they don't have a firm understanding of the lore of the game. And case in point, during the fireside chat, I think we've even brought this up before, good old Cynthia literally read the Wikipedia page for Magic the Gathering during a fireside chat to shareholders when talking about the game. And I mean, if you can't, as someone that is that high up at the corporate level, know your product any better than that, I mean, is that not like a huge red flag?
I would imagine. I mean, to me, I would think walking in the door, if you're going to be in any sort of management position at Magic the Gathering, if you don't know how to play Magic the Gathering, walking in the door, okay, fine, because there's other skills that you bring to the table, but you need to learn how to play this game. Like, she should know now how to play it, and she should know how to cast cards in response to something else. You know what I mean? Like, not just a pre-constructed deck. Like, if you're going to be in charge of the whole effing thing, you should be able to play the game. right?
I think one of the big keys is pushing character development. And I think that's what, like, as a kid, like, what's going to bring popularity to the game is going to be looking up to certain characters. Like a little kid like thinks Spider-Man is awesome. Like, we need little kids thinking Jace the Mind Sculptor is awesome, you know? So even if they don't know how to play the game, they should at least understand the lore, and they should understand character development, and they should understand marketing. And these people, like, their extent of understanding marketing is buying something that's already been marketed and beat to death like a dead horse.
We know that they don't, because if they did, they'd have Liliana and the Veil on OnlyFans for sure. Yeah. Right? They clearly do not understand their content at all.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the Bearscape OnlyFans.
All right, listen, everybody, we're gonna get the hell out of here. That's what's looking up. That's what's happening right now. Take a look online. Marvel is going in big with Wizards of the Coast. So enjoy your Apocalypse and your Spider-Mans and your Fantastic Fours to go right along with all the other Magic cards and your ninjas and everything else that we've got. I don't know where it will lead us. Hey, maybe we will be wrong and this will be a wild success. I don't think so. Mad Magic, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Magic.